know it looks rough out there. Sure, we're down 119-64, but we came here to play differently. We need a game changer. Something like Ring Central, the business phone system that's more than a phone. I want you to communicate like you can talk to anyone, anywhere, all from the same app. Now get out there and play like you're using Ring Central.
Ring Central. Simpler communications.
Whether on or off the court, the keys to success are the same. On the court, it's ball movement. Off the court, it's workflow. On the court, teams call plays to execute their game plan. Off the court, companies rely on systems to run their business smoothly. MRC Smart Technology Solutions, a Xerox company, is the official copier and office solutions provider of the Golden State Warriors. We offer large and small companies the technology they need to transform the way they work. Visit MRC360.com to learn more today.
1 minute, your team's down 20 points. The next, they're hitting a game-winning three at the buzzer and the crowd's going nuts. Basketball games can change in an instant. So can your plans. That's why at United, there are no change fees on flights. Because while we love a change of plans in the Warriors' favor, we don't think anyone should get charged fees for changing theirs. No change fees, ever. United, the official airline of the Golden State Warriors. Does not include basic economy unless a United waiver applies. Exceptions apply for certain international flights.
Hey, Stephen Curry, it's game day, and you know what that means.
That you're going to talk like an announcer all day long?
Yes, and fans get 10% cash back in arena or online at Warriors Shop by using Rakuten.
That is pretty exciting.
Cash back on Warriors gear is exciting, Stephen Curry.
I think they know it's me.
Good point. We just need to tell them the website.
Rakuten.com/Warriors. RAKUTEN.com/Warriors.
For Kia, the driveway is where performance resides. From the fans of the game to the Kia Telluride X Pro. So here's to tip-offs and engine starts, clutch players and 8-speed automatic transmissions, to long-range shooters and even longer-range rides. Here's to the legends of the driveway, the Kia Telluride X Pro. Kia is the official vehicle partner of the Golden State Warriors.
Kia, movement that inspires.
Been listening to the Golden State Warriors Audio Network.
Presented by United Airlines.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey Sports. For even more coverage of your team, download the free Odyssey app and listen to your favorite stations, shows, and podcasts.
That's a wrap.
Yo, that's a wrap. It was an amazing experience. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Hope they got some laughs, some good entertainment.
This is Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game.
Poole comes up top. They wait. Ty Jerome throws over the top to Klay Thompson, who catches, double punches a three and hit it! He hit it in front of the Magic bench. It's a one-point game with 27 seconds to go. Steve Kerr says no fouls. We can play this out.
And the Warriors would play it out, and the Warriors would get an opportunity to win it late. Klay Thompson, flailing attempt at the horn was a miss, and the Magic beat the Warriors 130-129. We welcome you inside Warriors Wrap-Up here on 95.7 The Game. John Dickinson with you, 888-957-9570. Let's react to this one as the Warriors fall now to 3-6 on the season. That's right, 3-6 are the Warriors right now on this NBA season. They are 0-4 on this road trip with losses to Charlotte, Detroit, Miami, and now Orlando, an Orlando Magic team that came in to this game at 1-7 on the season. So the Magic get their second win, and you look at the Warriors now, second of a back-to-back tomorrow in New Orleans. So 3-6 overall. They're 0-5 on the road. And where do you even start? This is not a good basketball team right now. The defense continues to be problematic. 77 points allowed in the second half. The Warriors fouled the Magic a ton in this game. 32 personal fouls committed by the Warriors. The Magic went to the free throw line 46 times in this game. It allowed them to get back in it. And the Warriors waste a 39-point game from Stephen Curry, and an efficient one at that, 13 of 22, 8 of 15 from 3. Think about this. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in this game tonight combined to shoot 15 for 30 from 3. 15 of 30 from 3 combined. So 15 makes, the Warriors at 19 as a team, and they shoot 50% from 3, go for 39 and 27 respectively, so 66 points between the two of them, and the Warriors lose to the second worst team in the NBA coming into tonight with a record of 1-7, the worst team in the Eastern Conference. This team's got some major problems at this point in time. Steve Kerr hinting at changes in his post-game press conference to the Warriors' rotation. What can that mean? We'll most definitely get into it over the course of the next hour here on 95.7 The Game. We'll also play Steve Kerr's post-game press conference from Amway Center in Orlando. But I want to hear from you at 888-957-9570. How concerned are you? What changes need to be made? Because the problems really are twofold. The problems are, I think, as far as the fouling and the commitment to the defense, those are both starting lineup and bench problems. But when you look at the overall plus minuses and lineup ratings and this and that, and again, tonight, another night where the Warriors starters all in the positive column on the plus minus, but the bench just continues to be completely inept. And it starts with Jordan Poole, the man who got paid 4 years and $123 million moving forward here beginning a year from now, because he was supposed to not only be somebody that was going to play with the starters and create this lineup while playing with Steph and Klay and Wiggins and Draymond Green that was unguardable and dynamic in today's NBA if the Dubs wanted to go small, but he's also supposed to be a good enough player in his own right to help carry a young bench, lead a young bench to where they're not getting eviscerated on a night-in and night-out basis by just about every single team in the NBA. And Jordan Poole has been brutally terrible to begin this season. 11 points tonight, 4 of 12, awful defense, 1 of 5 from 3, fouls left and right across the board. James Wiseman is making himself more and more unplayable by the game. JaMychal Green has been a disappointment here through 9 games, and Moses Moody is solid, but isn't making enough shots to really make his impact felt in the context of everybody else on the bench not playing well. So the Warriors wind up blowing a 16-point lead in Orlando, and it really all started with the bad defense and the fouling and the turnovers. Only 14 for the Warriors, but the Magic were able to score 23 points off those turnovers, and it's just a bench that is not able to hold up really by any stretch when the starting lineup goes out there and wins their matchups. And tonight it was on display again early for the Warriors where they jumped out to a +6 in the first half of the first quarter. Bench guys come in. It's an immediate -6. The game's tied. Warriors push the lead out to 12 at halftime. And then what the heck happened in the third quarter for the Warriors? I mean, Orlando came out, started to play zone in the third quarter. The Warriors initially shredded it. Klay Thompson was hot, had a season-high 6 threes early in the third quarter, wound up 7 of 15 overall. Dubs pushed the lead up to 73-67 and eventually 78-62. They went really small against the Orlando lineup when the Magic cut it to 11. But everything really changed, I thought, significantly when Kevon Looney picked up his 5th foul, and it was a 10-point game at that point in time. Paolo Banchero really took the game over at that point, and it was the Banchero and Jalen Suggs show in the second half. Magic cut it down to 5 and then to 2. Just ugly, ugly stuff. A 21 1-8 run by Orlando to close the quarter. And then comes the fourth quarter with the Warriors already fouling too much, already putting themselves in a position of vulnerability, already with the game hanging in the balance, and they pick up 2 team fouls in the first 30 seconds of the fourth quarter. And then Draymond Green picks up his 5th foul, and the Warriors pick up, in less than a minute, 3 team fouls, which means you're a team foul away at that point from every subsequent foul, putting the Magic at the free throw line. And they wound up in the penalty at 8:21 in the fourth quarter. Magic able to extend the lead out. Steve Kerr picked up a technical foul, and all of a sudden the Warriors are down 4 in a game that it felt like they had complete control in, and they're trying with a whole lot of Steph Curry and some Klay Thompson, but really Curry versus everybody in the fourth quarter to try and save a win on the road against the worst team in the Eastern Conference in the first 2+ weeks of the season. And back and forth they went. Draymond coast to coast to make it a 5-point game. Banchero turned it over. There was a turnover that went to a lob to Banchero, and the Magic were up 7. But the Warriors kept fighting. They kept forcing stops, but ultimately it's not enough. Some missed opportunities for the Warriors. Andrew Wiggins with a crucial missed layup late in this one, and just some missed opportunities that the Warriors had. Curry had a couple of bad turnovers. Klay's defense wasn't there down the stretch, and the Warriors stars, while they played better than the bench, didn't play well enough in crunch time to offset the plays that were being made by the Magic young players. So 888-957-9570, 888-957-9570. What needs to be done to fix this for the Warriors? Because they are 3-6, and let me tell you, if you can lose to Orlando, you can lose to anybody. No disrespect to their young players. It looks like Banchero's going to be pretty good. Suggs, when healthy, I think is a promising young player. He just came back in the Magic last game against Oklahoma City after missing the previous 5. And I just think that the defensive intensity and effort, probably a little bit of a team coming off of a championship that isn't quite ready to be really locking in to win games. And then the Warriors are just not good enough right now. And this is the scariest part. The Warriors are not good enough right now to coast and win games with their offense and 6 to 8 to 10 to maybe 12 minutes of defense. That's a big time problem right now for the Warriors. Is so much of these teams, when they come off championships and maybe they aren't completely locked in, is the ability to win at less than 100%. And right now, I don't know where the Warriors are at. Is it 70? Is it 80%? Whatever. But they're making enough mistakes on a night-in, night-out basis and are getting so little from the bench to help the starters when the starters are locked in and engaged that they can't offset it at all. And so they're putting themselves in position to where seemingly whenever they're in control of some of these games, anybody can come back on them. And the Magic show that again in this one tonight. So 888-957-9570. The Xfinity mobile text line is open. Couple of lines open. Let's get it rolling on the phone lines. It's Ted and Livermore up first here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Ted? You're on Warriors Wrap Up.
Hey, thanks for letting me in. I didn't see a ton of the game tonight, but you know, with the Warriors starting 5, I mean, their plus minus compared to other starting 5s across the league is, well, I heard anyways yesterday or the day before that it's up at the top. And my biggest issue has always been with Steve Kerr playing the silly games that he does with substitutions and predicting to the other coaching staff when he's going to sub out starters, and then to compound all that, they're putting Klay on a minutes restriction. Nobody's ever given an explanation for it relative to the minutes he was getting last year at the end of the season. And so, I didn't see how many minutes he and Steph got tonight. But if we're like playing the best starting 5 in the league, fewer minutes than every other starting 5 in the league, you know, that's not the players. That's not really even the bench. I mean, the bench can step up. Jordan Poole's got to step up more. But I mean, that's primarily on the coaches.
Well, thanks for the call. Tonight's not on the coaches as far as minutes played. And Klay Thompson, by the way, has been inching up. And Klay didn't play any pickup basketball in the offseason. He acknowledged the fact that he was a little worried about getting hurt because he had gotten hurt playing pickup a couple years ago. And he didn't want to do anything that put himself in position to ruin his first full season and what would be 4 years on the calendar. So because of the added minutes they played him in the playoffs last year and the 2 injuries that he's coming off, they did a slow ramp up for him. But since the beginning of the year when he was right around 20 minutes, it's been 2 or 3 minutes every game to the point where he played 34 tonight. So it's not about that tonight. Steph played 38 minutes tonight. Steph has played over 36, I think 3 or 4 times in the first 9 games this season. So Steph is playing enough minutes. You're not going to be getting into the 40s with these guys in November to just win a game against Orlando. This team needs to be good enough to be able to win games like tonight, playing a balanced, normal level rotation. And the reality is, to the first point, you are correct. The Warriors' starting lineup has not been the problem. In fact, it is one of the highest rated in terms of net rating lineups in the NBA in these first 2+ weeks overall. So while they haven't brought the intensity consistently defensively, while they have fouled too much in their own right, which has allowed the opposition to hang in the game, they've been part of the problem in that respect. But the starters, by comparison to the rest of the league and by comparison to the bench, I mean, it's been exponentially better. But you can't put it on, Draymond Green tonight only 30 minutes, but he probably would have played more if he had not been in foul trouble and wound up fouling out of the game. Looney, I think, tonight would have played more minutes even than the 29 that he played, but he ended up with 5 fouls early in the third quarter, and the Warriors had to make some changes there. So they're just not getting a thing from the bench, and that starts with Jordan Poole. I mean, James Wiseman, 9 minutes. JaMychal Green has had maybe 2 good games out of 9, if that, and I would say no great games. Moses Moody, he does little things, but doesn't give you enough big things at this point that really pop. I mean, Ty Jerome was their best bench player tonight. Ty Jerome was the only player that came off the bench, and this is a two-way guy who most of the Warrior fan base didn't even want on the roster, and he's been the most playable, at least effective bench player on a couple of different occasions in the first 9 games of this season since he went into the rotation, really in the last 6 when Dante DiVincenzo went down against Sacramento back on October the 23rd. So they're getting enough from the starters. The way the starters are getting it done has not completely been as efficient as I think you would want it to be, but they're just getting nothing from the bench right now. Absolutely nothing. I mean, this is the worst-case scenario and then some for the Warriors bench in these first 9 games. Jay in Oakland at 888-957-9570 on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, Jay?
Hey, can you guys hear me okay? Sorry, I'm driving over the bridge right now.
Loud and clear, brother.
All right. Well, I think this problem actually stems further than just X's and O's and Steve Kerr executing on plays. I think this is an organizational issue. If you look at what happened in before the season even started, we took a bet on Jordan Poole. We took a bet on the young guys, and frankly, they haven't been executing. And you can see it in the minutes that are being played. Steve Kerr is not taking the bets on the veterans, the Hall of Famers. They're not taking bets on Draymond Green. I mean, obviously Steph Curry is getting playtime. Clay's getting a little bit of playtime. He's banged up. We can't deny that, right? And the organization has decided, hey, we're going to try to develop these young guys at the start of the season, and you can see it. It's not working. They don't know what they're doing on defense. Our offense is, I mean, Steph's lighting up on offense like he always does, but, this is an organizational problem, and we took a bet at the beginning of the season, and that bet is not paying off, at least now. It might pay off in a couple, 10, 20 games, but it's not paying off now. And, I think Steve Kerr knows his X's and O's. He does. It's not a Steve Kerr thing, right? It's not a coaching thing. It's not a Hall of Famer Warriors thing, right? We know Draymond could do his thing. We know Steph could do his thing. We know Clay. Clay could do his thing. Like he's banged up. We can't blame him on that. But they took a bet on these young guys, and they're just not getting it done. I mean, I like Jordan Poole. He's a flashy player, but he reminds me of Monte Ellis a little bit. he reminds me of Monte, you know? And so I think that's where it is, and we gotta ride this bet that the Warriors leadership team took, and we'll see where it goes.
Thanks for the call. I think it's a good point about the fact that the Warriors did make their bed or place their bet on the fact that the young players could not only be developed this season, but also play well enough in even limited minutes to help this team get to the playoffs and have a chance to make a championship run. And at this point, it does look like those players, Moody, Wiseman, Kuminga, Kuminga can't even get on the floor right now. We'll see if that changes moving forward. But that those guys specifically can't contribute enough to a championship contending team. Now, there's still a ways to go, but they were not. So that's one part of it. But then the other part of it is the veteran guys they have maybe aren't quite as good. JaMychal Green is not Otto Porter. DiVincenzo's not playing right now due to injury. And there's no Gary Payton II as well. And so they don't have as much veteran stability as they did with this squad, even going back to last year. So I think they're finding that they're not getting it in a number of different facets. They're not getting it from the young guys, and the veterans that they have coming off that bench are not as good. And now you got Steve Kerr after the ball game talking about potential changes. I wonder what that means, to be perfectly honest, because I know I've had a few people tweet at me at JD John Dickinson on Twitter. Does that mean Kuminga? And Xfinity Mobile text line, JD, would you have played Kuminga more tonight? I actually would have played Kuminga tonight against Orlando. I was a little bit surprised that Steve Kerr didn't. I mentioned it on the pregame show at 3 o'clock this afternoon that tonight would be a night, as much as maybe you don't trust him against a veteran team, that you want to give him a few minutes with some youthful energy against players of his ilk, players of his experience level, players where he can kind of get up and down, the young 20s type players like a Banchero, like a Suggs. To me, this would have been a night where you could carve it out. Maybe not in Miami, maybe not necessarily in New Orleans, although it sounds like changes are coming. But yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised, but it just goes to show you, Kuminga was in the rotation at the beginning of the year and played his way out of it. So if you're talking about going back to Kuminga, that means you're going back to a guy that you already pulled because other things are not totally working out. So we'll have to see what Steve Kerr is going to get to as they move forward here with the 5th game in 7 nights tomorrow. Let's keep it moving on the phone lines. 888-957-9570. Bobby in Oakland is next here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Bobby.
Hey, what's going on, JD? Yeah, man, it's tough watching, and I have not been of this mindset before, but I'm looking at the intensity on the defense from the young guys, and I don't see it. And I'm not sure, maybe I'm wrong, that can be developed. So with that said, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, I'll be open to seeing, I can't imagine KD's long for Brooklyn. Maybe we can put together a package and see what it looks like to bring KD out, back out to the Bay. I like the young rookies, PBJ and Rollins, have them come out and fill out the bench. But, man, that defensive intensity is what concerns me the most. And I don't know if that can be developed. I hope I'm wrong on this, but want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I think it's a little bit early to be looking at trades and the potential to be moving on from some of these young players, but it's absolutely trending in that direction if this continues for the next couple of months, because this team's not good enough as is to win an NBA championship right now. Now, players can get better, roles can change, things can shift around, the combinations can be tinkered with. As Steve Kerr has said, he's going to tinker with them. But as far as the intensity from the young guys defensively, I think, to me, the intensity has lacked defensively from the veteran players. I think they're playing a step slow. I think they're playing like there's a little bit of a championship hangover. I think they're playing like they want to coast and win games with their offense, and they're not quite able to do it, and they're putting everybody in a lesser position because of it. But then I think the bench guys, it's not so much intensity or lack thereof, in my opinion, from the bench guys. It's more they don't totally know where they're supposed to be or have a full confidence in the system. But I think they're also, some of these guys, watching the veteran players want to coast. And when you're a young player watching veteran players want to coast, I think it's a little bit harder to not want to coast on your own when you're in that type of environment, even though as a young player you never have the right to do it. So I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of things going on. I think that the younger players are more unsure, but they're also watching the older players kind of on cruise control, at least defensively on cruise control, for stretches of the game, pick their spots when they want to make a big run, and I think that's where it leads to more issues. Yancey is next here in Oakland on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Yancey.
Okay, yes. I'm just saying, okay, I didn't watch this team. My father worked for the Warriors for years. I've always been around since 1977. What I see right now is he's saying, hey, the youngsters can't play because they don't play defense. But the guys that's on the team, they're not playing defense. So how do they, you know what I'm saying, how do you get that situation fixed? You're not playing defense. I can't play you because you're not playing defense, but the guys that I got playing in front of you, they're not playing defense, and we're still losing. How does that work out?
Perfectly said, Yancey. I mean, you said it better than I said it, my man. I mean, and when you look at young players, and we'll play the audio here coming up at 888-957-9570, but when you're talking about making changes to the rotation and you've got young players off the bench that aren't playing well, what does that really mean? I mean, is Jordan Poole going to start not playing? I mean, no. You just paid him $123 million beginning next year over the upcoming 4. So it doesn't mean that. So what you're talking about is James Wiseman. What you're talking about is JaMychal Green. You're not talking about Ty Jerome, who in his limited minutes has been a positive player for the Warriors. So you're really talking about Wiseman, I think. You're talking about JaMychal Green, I think, at this point. You're talking about Moses Moody. But the question I would have is, if Moses Moody and JaMychal Green and James Wiseman aren't going to play, well, who is going to play? Because the only 3 players the Warriors have available to them right now that were DNP coaches' decisions tonight on the active roster are Patrick Baldwin, Jonathan Kuminga, and Ryan Rollins. So if you're making changes and you're talking about playing different players, really what you're talking about is James Wiseman and JaMychal Green and Moses Moody. Like let's because you're not talking about Jordan Poole. He's not taking a seat. You need his offense, and if anything, you need to put him with lineups that help him succeed better, because he hasn't been as bad as he's been when he's been asked to play with the other younger players and bench players at the same time. So we're really talking about, is Wiseman going to flip into the Kuminga role, and Kuminga flips into the Wiseman role, where maybe Kuminga's playing and you'd play a little bit smaller at the 4-5, and Wiseman goes into do not play coach's decision for a couple of games. That's what we're talking about. Are we talking about Kuminga playing over JaMychal Green? Possibly. Are we talking about Kuminga getting minutes again over Moody? Possibly. But again, that didn't work out in the first couple of games for the Warriors. So I find it fascinating, and I guess we'll get a little taste tomorrow when the Warriors take on the Pelicans, second of the back-to-back, what exactly Steve Kerr thinks that the options are as far as looking at different changes and looking at different combinations. It may be more combinations than changes. All right, 888-957-9570. We'll get to some texts coming up here, but let's go ahead and hear from the head coach of the Warriors, Steve Kerr, as he addressed the media from Orlando following a 4th consecutive loss on this road trip.
I thought things went wrong before we had this 16-point lead. It's free throws, 46 free throws for them, 15 for us. That's free points for them. And every time they're shooting a free throw, we're taking the ball out of the net and having to execute our half-court offense, and the game's not flowing. So it's just really hard to win an NBA game by giving up 46 free throws. Even when we were up 16 mid-third, it didn't feel solid to me because we were giving up layups left and right, fouling. You could feel it. And I give them credit. I mean, we're going to take everybody's best shot, and we got their best shot tonight, and they played great. We got to bounce back. It's been a tough trip. We got one more game, and we got a lot of work ahead.
Talk about fouling as a problem.
Yeah.
And now what needs to happen for it to start fouling down?
Besides stop fouling, the mentality has to kick in at some point. I think we had 3 fouls in the first few minutes. So this isn't a case of our new guys, young guys fouling. It's everybody. Steph had a reach early on. Once you start to foul, now every single one, it starts to snowball. And then you can't use a strategic foul, or it's free throws. And by the time the second unit got on the floor late first, they were in the bonus already. And we fouled immediately 2 straight times, and they shot 4 more free throws. I think they had 12 or 13 free throws in the first quarter. So we set a terrible tone. We've done that pretty much all year. And we're going to have to make some adjustments, make some changes. We've had 9 games now. So we've had a decent look at combinations. And so it's time to try something different.
Potentially needing to the rotation. Is that community with that? Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, everybody's going to get a chance to play. We've got guys who are dying to get on the floor, and we've got to find combinations that click. And so we'll discuss that as a staff, and we'll figure that out.
The combination that you guys had in the past years. Obviously, you guys are the best team offensively, but what takes you to the 4th championship in defense? You're always on the top, but right now you're at the bottom defensively as a team. Can you explain what's in the mind when you're out there and you go from being one of the top defensive players teams in the NBA to win up?
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of a championship hangover. I don't think even our main guys have played great defense. And then there's some inexperienced young guys, new guys on the roster. So we haven't built that defensive identity and cohesiveness yet, and that's got to come. But I told the guys, we have to save us because nobody else is coming. Every team can't wait to play us. Orlando was great tonight. Miami was great the other night. Charlotte, Detroit. We're the defending champs. We come here and they can't wait to play us. And if you're not defending and you're fouling, you're putting yourself in a dangerous spot.
Does it get harder and harder to get motivated going to the 5th? Is that what you're talking about when you're 5th time going to the 5th championship? It's hard to get motivated.
Steph and Clay and Draymond, Loon, they are natural-born competitors. So they're going to find it, and maybe losing all these games will be the spark that we need to get us going.
That last play where we played the last shot, that was the play that you have to pair for the final player.
Well, they double-teamed Steph, and Steph made the right play. He got the ball out of his hands on the double, and then Clay tried to free himself up. I think he took one dribble and pulled up and shot that floater. Not an easy shot, but Steph made the right play.
How do you describe the game of Klay Thompson tonight?
Clay was better tonight. He knocked down shots early. You could see he's starting to feel more comfortable, and hopefully, he's now in a position where he played 34 minutes. So, he's back to where he can play bigger minutes. But hopefully, that'll help us shore up our defense.
James, clearly frustrated with the play that culminated tonight. Where are you at with him right now, and how do you guys try to count?
We're looking at James and JK and Moses in a big picture way. So you don't get these guys who basically play, 3 college games in James's case, or 12 G League games in JK's case. It doesn't happen overnight. So the development plan is something that we're looking at comprehensively every day. These guys are working. There's going to be times where they're in the rotation. There's going to be times where they're not. The season will dictate all of that. And I think, it's been a tough couple of games for James, but I'm a believer. I love his talent, his attitude, but there's no shortcut for all this. It's, you got to go through your lumps as an extremely young player with little to no experience. It takes time.
Commonly had a career high 17 points. I use the word reliable force previously, but just what you say about
Loon was great. We know what we have in Loon. He's there for us every night. What we have to find is obviously our starting group, looks good. They've got one of the best net ratings in the league, if not the best. We've got to find combinations that work off the bench, and we'll be making some changes. We've gotten a look at a few different combos, and it's time to look at a couple more.
All right, so Steve Kerr there hinting at changes as far as the rotation. That doesn't necessarily mean players going into the DNP category, although it could. If you look at the most recent changes that Steve Kerr has made, really the only change since the beginning of the season has been Jonathan Kuminga going into not playing at all via coach's decision. DiVincenzo, that injury led to Ty Jerome getting more minutes. But the one thing Steve Kerr did do is he was taking Wiggins and Looney out a little bit earlier. He was splitting Wiseman and JaMychal Green's minutes some. I think that plan got thrown out of whack with some of the foul trouble issues, but bringing Wiggins and Looney in to play at the top of the second and fourth quarters a little bit more to provide some stability with Jordan Poole on the floor and Ty Jerome and that other group. But I think it's going to be time for Kuminga to maybe get a few more minutes again, but at the expense of who? I think that's the question. So 888-957-9570. John Dickinson. We'll be back here on Warriors Wrap-Up. We'll hope to hear from Draymond Green and Steph Curry. We'll keep it going here on 95.7 The Game.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps' base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries, including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file lawsuits seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation. 800-490-8291. Let our experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-490-8291. That's 800-490-8291. Again, 800-490-8291.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Go to getrbawindows.com for full offer details.
Homeowners, do you know when to replace your windows? Feeling too hot or cold? It's time to replace. Can't see through fog between the glass? Time to replace. Spending too much on expensive energy that literally goes out the window? It's definitely time to replace. If you've put off replacing windows in your home because it's too expensive, here's great news. You can now get a free in-home window consultation and free price quote from Renewal by Andersen, the company with the most 5-star reviews among leading full-service window replacement companies. And during their Black Friday sale, you can save $355 off every window and $910 off every door. Just text REVIEW to 323232 for your free consultation on top quality affordable windows or patio doors for $0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for a year. That's right, you don't pay a dime for an entire year. Plus, you can save $355 off every window and $910 off every door. But hurry, this offer ends November 25th. Text REVIEW to 323232 right now. Don't go into winter with drafty windows. Text the word REVIEW to 323232. Don't wait. Text REVIEW to 323232.
for kids. Donate your car today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Everything, our farm, our stand, our pop-up shop. It really all started when we discovered the benefits of local, raw honey for our family.
And then we decided to turn it into a business.
We were looking for something to help us get up and running.
So we got the Chase Business Complete Banking Account.
It's more than a bank account. It comes with Quick Accept, which lets us take card payments anytime, anywhere in the U.S. using the Chase mobile app. Plus, we get same-day deposits at no extra cost. For us, it's more than honey. It's about sharing a little sweetness with the world.
Get the Chase Business Complete Banking Account with the essentials you need to help get your business going. Learn more at chase.com/business-complete-banking. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours. Quick Accept is not available in U.S. territories. Enrollment required. Usage subject to approval. Same-day deposits available for payments before 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Sunday to Friday. Fees and rates apply for checking and processing. Limitations and restrictions apply. Participants compensated. Merchant services provided by Payment Tech LLC and WePay Inc. Subsidiaries of J.P. Morgan Chase Bank and a member FDIC.
Alice at 97.3 is celebrating the return of Alice in Winterland. Friday, December 2nd at the SAP Center in San Jose. Starring John Mayer, One Republic.
See you at Alice in Winterland.
Matt Nathanson. Plus more to be added. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster. Get everything Alice in Winterland at radioalice.com.
If you own a business, this has been a bumpy ride. From pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible to receive a payroll tax refund of up to $26,000 per employee. The challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you that money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types qualify, including those who took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help your business too. Just go to getrefunds.com and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com. That's getrefunds.com.
Now back to Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game.
Magic beat the Warriors 130 to 129. John Dickinson back here on Warriors Wrap Up on 95.7 The Game. 888-957-9570. Appreciate those who are watching on YouTube and Twitch as well. We'll keep things going about another 20 minutes. We'll dip into the 8 o'clock hour here on 95.7 The Game. Is that the people want to react to this one. Warriors now 3-6. They are 0-4 on this road trip. They will try to avoid the 5-game sweep tomorrow as they will be in New Orleans. 0-5 overall on the road, 3-6 overall on the season. Let's get back to the phones. A-Rod in Berkeley is next here on 95.7 The Game. What's going on, A-Rod?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. What's on your mind?
Perfect. I got a couple of questions/opinions I want to hear from you guys. I know Steve Kerr is thinking about maybe changing up some rotations or something. What do you think about James Wiseman getting thrusted into the starting lineup? Not more minutes, but just letting him start, build a little confidence, get some early going minutes with the starters, see how that works. And then the second one is, I don't know how financially it'll work with us in the vet minimum, but I know Dwight Howard went on Shannon Sharp's podcast earlier. I think it was yesterday or this morning. He said he was very interested in joining the Warriors, mentoring Wiseman, helping him with some defensive rotations, things like that. Just want to hear your guys' opinions on those two. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, twofold. One, I don't think Wiseman to the starting lineup is that crazy of an idea, although Steve Kerr did mention, and we just played it, that the Warriors starting lineup as is one of the best units, if not the best unit in the NBA overall. So I think Steve Kerr might want to keep that unit intact for those first 6 minutes of the half and keep the rotation intact to get it back to that group, or that group minus Looney for somebody else who's playing well on a given night. But Wiseman's best minutes tonight were the minutes that he played when he was out there with the starters. And Looney can really stabilize with any group. So I don't think it's that crazy. However, I do think Steve Kerr probably wants to keep that starting group together, and I also think Steve Kerr has to be careful as to reward poor performance with basically a promotion. So I think it's something that he could go to down the line, but I would be skeptical if Steve Kerr does it right now, just because James Wiseman overall is playing so poorly. As far as Dwight Howard goes, I don't know that he's the perfect fit, but I'll say this. Wiseman right now is unplayable if the playoffs were to start anytime soon. Now, thankfully for the Warriors, the playoffs don't start anytime soon, but if Wiseman could not play a second in a playoff game of any meaning right now. So that being said, the Warriors would need another big. They do have an open roster spot. And so I would not rule out the Warriors. I don't know if Dwight Howard's the guy, but I would not rule out the Warriors at some point come February and March, looking at the buyout market, looking to try and add, because this team, frankly, right now is not deep enough to win an NBA championship. Mike in San Francisco next here at 888-957-9570. Hey, Mike.
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, Mike?
Hello? No.
Hey, Mike.
I wanted to tap in. Yeah. Oh. Hey, Mike. Yeah.
All right, Mike, got to turn that radio down, brother. Well, give us a call back. We'll get you back in here. Chris in Oakland on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Chris.
Hey, how you doing, JD? Thanks for taking my call, man. Man, that was just really, really bad loss. You know what I'm saying? Last year they lost against Memphis by 50 or whatever, and then I think the season before that they lost against Toronto by 50. But I'd rather take that than this particular loss. And the offense played well. I mean, they only had the turnovers were minimum. I mean, they had over 30 assists. They shot really well. But, I mean, Kerr said it in a press conference, man. Fouling on defense, to me, has been, more egregious, especially on this road trip. And especially in the losses. Looney had, 5? Draymond fouled out. It's crazy. The starters are fouling too much, too. So,
yep.
I think that right there is the main issue that they need to fix right at the moment. As far as rotations go, I don't know what else they could do. I mean, you could give JK more minutes, but I mean, is that going to make the defense better? I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. But they really need to figure that defense thing out, and I hope they do it real quick, man. But thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, 16-point lead evaporates, and thanks for the call, Chris. And it was really the free throws. And the Magic didn't even shoot a great percentage from the free throw line, 71%, but they got 46 of them. They made 33 of them, and you're talking about a 23-point advantage for the Magic over the Warriors at the free throw line in the game. I mean, that's everything. For a team that came in among the worst field goal percentage teams in the league and among the worst three-point shooting teams in the league, although the Magic did shoot overall 53.8% and 43.3 from three, 13 of 30 from deep. They outperformed what they had done in these first 8 games of the season, but the starters are fouling too much. And Steve Kerr mentioned it. They're setting up the bench to have less margin for error when they get in the game. And the other part of this, and Draymond mentioned it a couple of days ago, and Steve Kerr reiterated it here just within the last hour, it also really impacts the fact that the Warriors have to come up and take the ball out of the basket after these free throws and play at a slower pace and play half-court offense, a team that wants to get out in transition. And when the Warriors put teams away, how do they do it? They do it by getting out in transition. They do it by forcing the other team to play at a level where they can't keep up, and the Warriors hit a couple of shots, and all of a sudden, boom, a game that's tied turns into a double-digit type situation, and a team, especially like Orlando, just can't roll with it, can't run with them. And so when you're stopping the game, the Warriors don't have flow. They become a little bit easier to defend in the half court, and the game just gets choppy, and I think that's the unintended consequence of all of the fouling beyond just the fact that you're giving extra opportunities and extra points to the opposition, as was on display in the game tonight. Rob in San Bruno next here on Warriors Wrap-Up on 95.7 The Game, 888-957-9570. Hey, Rob.
What's going on? I just feel like Warriors fans, and I think even media maybe comes to the realization that all these teams are younger. They might not be able to play the game, to mentally beat the Warriors, but in an 82-game season, they're physically beating teams up. Like, they cannot, Mooney, Steph, play, even Dre, they cannot stay in front of these young dudes. These young dudes are blowing right past them, which is why they're fouling so much. It's not a coincidence. I just feel like, the Warriors got that ring last year, which was, we didn't expect it, but I think that messed up the progression of some of these young guys. You got to get those young guys out there, because at the end of the day, when you play an 82-game schedule, it's more about athleticism and be able to, keep up. The Warriors can't keep up, and I think the league has caught up with Steph, Dre, and Clay, and you need some more younger athleticism. And I feel like when you lost GP, who can defend and can jump, move, you lost him, and you lost other guys. So it's like, I just don't think those three guys in the 82-game season can play the way they want, heavy minutes, and they can win a lot of games. I just feel like teams are more athletic, they're bigger, they're stronger, and they're just winning off will, not off mine, but I'm just physically better than you. That's what it is.
Thanks for the call. I hear where you're coming from as far as you're getting everybody's best shot, and these young teams that don't have it together on another night want to put their best foot forward against the Warriors. And the Warriors are an older team, and they are a less athletic team, and that, being a step slow, part of that is the fact that some of these guys do have the jump on you in terms of energy, athleticism, quick step, all of that. The problem, though, is if you decide you want to play the young guys more, it becomes an issue of, can you win that way? Can you win playing the young guys a lot more? And I think Steve Kerr in the early part of the season is saying, no, we can't, because they're losing at the level where these guys are playing. So playing them more, how are we going to win more? So to me, it's more about the combinations than anything, because Steve Kerr has gone for it in a couple of these games. Nobody expected the regulars to even play against Detroit on Sunday, but the loss Saturday meant those guys wanted to chase Sunday, and then they lost Sunday, and they played better Tuesday in Miami, I guess. That was the one thing that did rub me a little bit the wrong way. It's you can't come out and say, hey, you played better, things were better, more stronger effort against Miami, and then come out and play the way you play tonight, give up 130 to Orlando after you played better against Miami. Like to me, tonight completely negates any of the progress that the Warriors made when they were touting a non-moral victory on Tuesday. So, but it is a catch-22. You play the young guys more, they get more experience. Are they better in the long run? Sure. But are you looking at 3-6 again, or maybe worse, when this team does need to win enough to at least probably be a top 4 seed if they want to contend for a championship? All right, we'll get to more phone calls, but we enter our 8 o'clock hour here on 95.7 The Game.
You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM in HD1 San Francisco. Always live on Twitch, YouTube, and the free Odyssey app.
All right, Warriors wrap up here on 95.7 The Game. Dubs lose their 4th in a row as the Magic win it tonight, 130-129. 888-957-9570. Let's get back to the phones with Jay in Oakland on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Jay.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good.
I want to talk about one thing that hasn't anyone addressed out of all the radio hosts, and nobody's talking about Mike Brown leaving this defense and what he meant to this team as an assistant coach. You know, Mike Brown is really a defensive specialist coach, and I think that is the number one reason why the defense is so bad. I mean, that drop off is just too bad. It ain't because of Clay or Draymond. I think it's the head, Mike Brown, and his presence and his demeanor towards the team, and also like the other speaker said, everybody giving the Warriors their best shot, and the Warriors are just complacent and not finishing. We've been in every game. We're not getting blown out, but the number one thing is, I think it is Mike Brown, and second is complacency. We just think that we can just turn it on at any time and finish, and it's not. The hardest thing in the NBA to do is to repeat. Thank you, and I'm finished.
Yeah, no, good stuff, Jay. We've talked about it. I've talked about it. I think it's come up every night that the Warriors have lost. Mike Brown being 90 miles down the road and playing or coaching the Sacramento Kings. That's a major loss, and one that clearly they're still trying to adjust from and adjust to. But I do think it starts with the veteran guys bringing a little bit more of a conscientious effort on that end. The problem, though, is does that wipe them out as the season goes on, because you need them to play at such a level just to maintain in the regular season a high enough standing to be able to give yourself a shot to win it in once you get into the playoffs? Because it's not just be top 6. You got to be top 3 or top 4. Like, don't give me this top 6 and then anything can happen and they can get on a run. Business. Like, even for the Warriors. Gabriel is next year on 95.7 The Game. Hey, Gabriel, you're on Warriors Wrap-Up with JD on a Thursday night.
Copy. Hey, JD, how you doing? It's Gabriel out in D.C.
Good, man.
Hey, so I just wanted to point out a couple things. I think that last caller hit it right on the head. I think Kerr, if you look at the run, I think Brown was a bigger cog in the wheel for the Warriors and defensive, and I think his absence is a huge problem. I think, two, I think the kitty gloves are given with Wiseman make no sense. This kid has not played college ball. He has played very little NBA pro ball, and he needs to earn those minutes. And if it were me, I would send him to the D League for a full season, and let's see how he does down there, because he needs reps, and he's not going to get him in the NBA. He's getting torched right now. And the last one I would say is the solution may be send Wiseman and Kuminga down in the G League, find Dwight Howard, get Witherspoon back, and try to get some vets out there to help Steph right now, because it's really not fair. Steph's doing everything right now, and he's getting tired. There's no way he keeps this up so hard.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. I think Wiseman, I hear you. I don't think the Warriors want to sign anybody right now. So sending Wiseman down or not playing him at all, they'd have to sign somebody if they were going to do that. I don't think they want to do that now. I think year 3, they believe he has to be able to get minutes at the NBA level, but it is difficult unless you're getting a lot of minutes to fit your game in a box to where you're playing well enough to develop and help a team win. And right now, he's really not doing either. He's not developing because he's not playing well, but he's not helping them win either. And Kuminga is another conundrum, because I'd love to see Kuminga go down for a stretch if they're not going to play him in these games with the big club, but the sense you get and what you hear is that that's almost beneath him, and he isn't going to go down there and play the right way anyway. So you're kind of in a catch-22 where I think he's getting shown a little bit of tough love right now for not bringing it in the roles that he's been asked to bring it in so far this season. So it's difficult. It really is difficult to find the right combination. But I do think we're going to see Jonathan Kuminga start playing again here over the course of the next couple of games, because Wiseman has played so poorly and because JaMychal Green, frankly, has played so poorly. All right, let's hear a couple of minutes of Draymond Green before we call it a night. Hopefully we can fit in a couple minutes of Steph Curry as well, as the veterans, the future Hall of Famers, address a brutal, brutal loss for the Dubs in Orlando.
to the point tonight, he was talking about rotation changes may have to be looked at moving forward, mostly because I'm sure you know the stats, but the starters plus it's really good and everything else is kind of shaky. How frustrating has that been?
Losing is frustrating. To start a season, you're always trying to figure out rotation. And, that's sometimes to be expected. I think the expectation for us, usually we don't go through that. And so it's kind of like, oh, man, our rotations, for the most part, we've always been able to figure them out pretty quickly. And you're 3-6, you have to look at everything. And I think, that's what coaches are getting at. But I'm not going to sit here and blame the guys that are coming off the bench or the coaching staff. We all got to figure it out, regardless of what that is. I think we all can improve. So just got to keep plugging away at it. But I'll say this again. We have to correct our defense. Klay Thompson and Steph Curry shot 15 for 30 from three. That right there alone is good enough for us to win a game. If nobody else hit a three, if nobody else take a three, that's good enough to win the game. So give up 43 points in the third quarter. I'm not sure if the league average for points are up, but I feel like we've given up 30-plus points every first quarter. Now, maybe that's a league-wide thing and people are just shooting more, or I don't know. But I know that's an issue for us. And so you start the game off like giving up 30 points a quarter. Teams get comfortable. And once a team gets comfortable, you got to deal with that problem. Everybody's an NBA team. Everybody's NBA players. Everybody's getting paid salary to play basketball. You allow those guys to get comfortable, you're stuck dealing with that the rest of the game.
How you go from being the top 5 team defensively all the way to the 30th in the league? But that has something to do with the larger rotation because it's early in the year. Steve Kerr's trying to use different players, get them to the level that you guys should be to win fifth. Does that worry you? Can you take into the mental process of the defensive orchestra that is not there?
It is definitely a process. And the reality is there's a lot of guys playing this year and playing minutes that they haven't played before. And when that happens, you have to grow together. And it usually shows up on the defensive end more than it does the offensive end. Quite frankly, I think we've struggled a bit on both sides. But usually when you struggle on the offensive side, our defense usually can save us. And it hasn't. And so, like I said, I'm not going to sit up here and point fingers or, point our young guys. It's not how we roll. They got to learn. They got to figure it out, So, yes, in fact, it is some of their fault. It is definitely some of our young guys' fault. But it's also some of my fault and some of Steph's fault and some of Klay's fault. It's all of our fault. We're not defending at the level that it takes to win games. Now, you take into account that every team wants to beat us because we won a championship last year. You take all of that into account on top of the errors that we're making, and it's tough to overcome. And so I changed the tune of my answer. Yes, it is the young guys' fault, but it is not more their fault than it is our fault. And so, yes, they have some things to learn, and I have no doubt that they will learn those things. But equally, we have responsibilities that we have to live up to, and we're not doing that either. So as much as it is their fault and not knowing rotations and all of that stuff, I must not be doing a great job leading. I must not be doing a great job defensively if our defense sucks, and vice versa. And it's on down the line. So as a matter of fact, I am not taking fault away from them. They have to get better. And that's what we require as an organization in the win. And we have to get better and live up to who we are supposed to be.
All right, so Draymond Green there, long answer. Bottom line, the defense has to get fixed if this team is going to get back to, forget about championship level contender. It's just being a top 4 or 5 team in the Western Conference to give yourself a shot come April, May, and June. And it is everybody. I think the young guys, it's more not totally knowing the system and where they need to be consistently, but I think it's the veteran guys with the championship hangover that would love to want to coast. And right now, the veteran guys probably have to set more of a consistent tone and can't coast because the young guys aren't good enough to hold up their end when the starting players aren't on the floor. So, all right, we'll call it a night, but let's hear from Steph Curry, a couple of minutes from him downstairs at Amway Center in Orlando, where the Warriors have dropped their 5th straight game to the Magic going back to 2017. Here's Steph after this one.
We're
we're in a different kind of mode where we're obviously losing. It's 4 in a row, and we've been accustomed to learning while winning, and you find ways to dig it out even if you don't have it or you're building chemistry or whatever it is. We haven't been in this position in a while where you understand you have to play better and you're losing, and it's just not a good feeling all the way around. So we don't want to be insane and keep doing the same thing expecting different results, but we have to kind of pick each other up, understand everybody in that locker room has to figure it out. That's what the job requires. We understand that. It's just tough right now to go out and keep fighting hard. I understand our energy and effort was there, and you don't have any results to show for it.
Someone was talking about how it's not all on the young guys, starters have to take some responsibility, but where do you see the differences in what people have to work on, whether it's the bench and what they have to work on versus the starting group?
I think we all just have to be accountable to each other. Like when things aren't going right and you're not winning, the spotlight's going to be on what individual players, what collective, 5-man groups aren't playing well to then, try to highlight whatever needs to change. But when things are going well, the whole team gets love. So you have to everybody has to be in the same boat. Like there are things that we can do better as a starting unit, especially defensively. There are a lot of things that the bench guys can do to maintain that momentum that we create and give our entire team a chance to get out of this hole. So if everybody got in front of these mics, they all could talk about what they need to do better. That's how you have to approach it. That's how we've won in the past, and that's how we're going to do it this year.
So that final play designed to go to Clay that Sharif in the moment.
Play designed to try to create a simple look, not try to have too much traffic. I got caught it and turned, made a jab step, and then I saw, 2 Magic jerseys. Then you make a decision whether you want to force something up, which I didn't think I could. Made a kind of a weak pass to Clay, put him in a tough position, and he tried to make the best of it. They made the right read to trap at the right time where we didn't have good enough spacing. So another learning lesson.
Over the years, you guys have struggled sometimes in your regular season, but this year, the first year, you guys go all the way down to the 30th spot defensively. Offensively, I think you guys are doing okay. Is there any concern about that? Going to trying to get the championship.
Hell yeah, that's not who we are. It's not who we've been. There's a lot of firsts in terms of this group. Not being a good road team, not being a good defensive team. It's clear there's a lot of problems, but it's also clear to us that we can figure it out. So we can acknowledge both.
Things, frustration, figure out for a little bit. You got the team, kind of 6-point sequence. How do you guys try to help guys through it? Obviously, kind of frustrating.
Just keep encouraging them to bring his best effort and understand he doesn't have to be perfect. Like nobody goes out there and plays a perfect game. There's no such thing. It's just bring the right focus, the right physicality, the right, approach to what you're trying to do on defense and protect the paint, be physical without fouling. And offensively, you just try to keep things as simple as possible. But just at the end of the day, you have to go out and play. We all have been in that before, rough patches, trying to figure it out. Feel like nothing's going your way. You have to just work your way out of it individually and collectively. He's a part of that. Honestly, our biggest thing is probably just a lack of communication because you have 2 guys, again, I think we talked about it earlier in the year, 2 guys that talk a lot, Draymond and Loon. They've been around, they know, they have confidence in what they're saying. They're loud with it. Our biggest thing in pointing out our youth is being demonstrative on the court. We talk about communication not only helps you, but it affects the offensive team because they feel like you're all together, tied together, and it makes them think a little bit. So when it gets quiet out there, it's tough to have confidence that you're doing the right thing, that you're in the right spot, and then you're one step behind, you're rotating late, then you're fouling. There are several stuff that we don't need to reach when guys are driving because there might be help there. That's just boneheaded basketball. But collectively, if we talk more, we'll be in much better positions to defend.
All right, so Stephen Curry there trying to break down everything that's going on with the Warriors. Concerned, but also not concerned. The confidence that Steph has, talking about the lack of communication out there, just the fact that it's plain and simple, a lot of different problems, but to him, confidence that they can figure it out, and acknowledging both sides of the equation there. And I think the most salient point of all is the Warriors when they've been in the championship era, for the most part, they're able to learn while they win. And right now, the Warriors, and I think this is a little bit like 2 years ago in a sense, although I still think this team is better than the team 2 years ago, where the development and the learning come at a cost, and that means taking some losses. I looked it up while Steph was talking there, and the Warriors' 6th loss of the season. They're 3-6 now on November the 3rd. The Warriors' 6th loss last year was December the 18th. They had developmental game in Toronto on a Saturday night where a lot of the main players on the second of a back-to-back didn't even make the trip into Canada. Warriors went up there, lost that game to the Raptors, and they were 24-6, 30 games into the season. And at that point, they were rolling at that point. But now you look a year later, and it's completely different. 3-6, 9 games in, and this team's got some ground to make up. Steph Curry, though, continues to be just tremendous. 39 points, 7th time in 9 games where he's got 30 or more to begin this season. 8 of 15 from 3. Him and Clay had it rolling. I think that was one of the small positives here, even though it goes for naught in terms of getting a win. Klay Thompson's shown some signs of life these last 2 games, so we'll see if he can continue moving forward. I would say it's probably doubtful he plays tomorrow in New Orleans, but he'll get a couple of days off, and the Warriors will take on the Kings on Monday, and we'll see if he can continue to extend and play well as he works his way back toward more normal minutes. So quick turnaround for the Dubs. Back at it tomorrow, Warriors and the Pelicans. Warriors live at 4 o'clock for that one. It's a 5:30 tip, or 4:30 for Warriors live, is Damon and Ratto will have that. 4:30 Warriors live, and then Tim and Jim with the call at 5:30, and then I'll be back with Warriors wrap-up after the ball game. So keep it locked here on 95.7 The Game as everybody reacts to what's going on with the Warriors tomorrow beginning at 6 a.m. Fox Sports Radio is coming up next. Thanks to Sterling. Thanks to everybody in our San Francisco studios. Magic beat the Warriors tonight, 130-129. You heard it right here on 95.7 The Game. Good night.
Attention, guys. By now, you should know that when it comes to meal enhancement pills, most of these contain the same ingredients that are repackaged over and over again. Why take the same old when you can perform in the bedroom with confidence at the highest level? That's why Noxitril needs to be on your bedstand. If you thought that the little blue pill works well, wait till you try Noxitril. It's like Viagra on steroids. Thousands of men each week have switched from that prescription blue pill to Noxitril. That's because Noxitril is automatic. No need to worry anymore. When it's time to perform, we've got this.